When the courtroom cameras turned toward her, something strange happened. Instead of looking nervous, instead of looking devastated, she laughed. This was the woman accused of poisoning her own husband, a successful businessman, a father of 3 boys. Prosecutors say she slipped a lethal dose of fentanyl into his drink while they were celebrating a real estate deal at home. 5 times the lethal amount. At first, it looked like a tragic and sudden death, but as investigators began digging into phone records, financial documents, and deleted messages, a very different story started to emerge. Because the more they looked into her life, the more it seemed like this death might not have been an accident at all. I'm bringing you this case on Criminal Women, where I examine the complex psychology behind female perpetrators. If cases like this interest you, subscribe now, because I publish 2 new cases every week. Eric Richins was 39 years old, boys who thought their dad could fix anything. He ran a successful stone masonry company in Utah, earning close to $1 million a year. He coached sports, he hunted, he built things with his hands. From the outside, his life looked steady. His wife, Kouri Richins, looked steady too. She was educated, ambitious. A real estate agent building her own company, flipping properties, talking about big opportunities. They married in 2013. They signed a prenup. On paper, everything was organized, clean, protected, but behind the scenes, things were cracking. By 2019, Kouri had launched her real estate business. At first, it looked impressive. Expensive homes, large purchases, confident deals. But investigators would later uncover something very different beneath that image: debt. Millions of dollars in debt. Court documents show she allegedly took out a $250,000 home equity line of credit using power of attorney. The home was in Eric's name. Prosecutors say he didn't know. There were withdrawals from his accounts, loans, credit cards, financial strain building quietly like pressure inside a sealed container. Eric eventually found out. According to testimony, he met with a divorce attorney in October 2020. He also met with an estate planning lawyer. He created a living trust and placed control of his estate with his sister instead of his wife. He changed the beneficiary on a $500,000 life insurance policy. He was protecting his sons. And he told family members something chilling: if anything happens to me, look at Kouri. Then came Valentine's Day 2022. Prosecutors allege Kouri brought Eric a sandwich from a local diner and left it in his truck with a note. He took one bite. Within minutes, he broke out in hives. He couldn't breathe. He used his son's EpiPen. He drank liquid antihistamines. He passed out for hours. He later told a friend he believed his wife had tried to poison him. 17 days later, Eric was dead. March 3, 2022. That evening, Kouri had just closed a major real estate deal. A massive property, big money on the line. They celebrated at home. She made him a Moscow Mule, according to court records. She brought it to their bedroom. Later, she said she slept in one of her children's rooms because of a nightmare. Around 3 a.m., she returned to the bedroom and said Eric was cold. Paramedics arrived. They couldn't revive him. Weeks later, the autopsy revealed he died from fentanyl intoxication. Not a small amount. Medical examiner: approximately 5 times the lethal dosage was found in his system. The fentanyl was illicit. It was ingested orally. This wasn't an accident. So how did fentanyl get there? That's when investigators started pulling phone records, texts between Kouri and her housekeeper in the weeks leading up to Eric's death, messages allegedly arranging pills. Prosecutors claim she paid $900 for fentanyl pills days before Valentine's Day. After Eric survived that incident, they allege she asked for something stronger. Then there were texts to another man. One message read, "If he could just go away, life would be so perfect." Another message, sent days before Eric died, promised that life would soon be different. Now remember something important. This wasn't discovered immediately. After Eric's death, Kouri hosted a party. She closed real estate deals. She went on trips. In March 2023, 1 year after his death, self-published a children's book titled, "Are You With Me?" It was about a child coping with the loss of a father. She promoted it on local television, speaking softly about grief, connection, and healing. She looked like a grieving widow trying to help her sons, but detectives were still digging. They examined Google searches linked to her phone. Court testimony later revealed searches like, "Can cops recover deleted messages? How to permanently delete information from an iPhone? If someone is poisoned, what does it show on a death certificate? Even luxury prisons in America. Why search that? If you've done nothing wrong." Then came the financial picture. A forensic accountant testified that by December 2021, Kouri allegedly owed around $4 million in debt. 15 properties, multiple loans, at least 6 instances where bank documents were allegedly falsified to secure mortgages. Prosecutors also allege she attempted to change life insurance beneficiaries shortly before Eric's death. And then there was something even more shocking. While in jail awaiting trial, officials found a document in her cell. She claimed it was part of a fictional novel she was writing. Prosecutors argued it contained details about the day Eric died and alleged instructions related to testimony. She told her brother on a jail call that none of it could be used against her. It was just a book. The court disagreed. Portions were allowed as evidence, but this case didn't move in a straight line. In 2024, a man accused of supplying fentanyl recanted part of his statement. The defense argued that if fentanyl couldn't be directly tied to her, the case collapsed. They pushed for bail again. The judge denied it, stating there was still probable cause. The preliminary hearing in August 2024 laid everything out: financial stress, digital footprints, deleted messages, alleged pill purchases, the Valentine's Day incident, the fatal Moscow Mule. The judge ruled the case would proceed to trial on aggravated murder and attempted aggravated murder, along with numerous financial crime charges. As of early 2026, Kouri Richins remains in custody. She has pleaded not guilty. She faces 25 years to life if convicted on the murder charge. Now picture that courtroom again. She laughs. She shrugs. Cameras capture brief smiles. The prosecution calls it consciousness of guilt. The defense calls it composure under pressure. But here's what makes this case so unsettling. It's not just about fentanyl. It's about control, about image, about someone who allegedly believed that deleting texts meant deleting reality. That erasing browser history meant erasing motive. That writing a children's book could rewrite a narrative. The prosecution's theory is simple: financial collapse, marital breakdown, insurance policies, and a plan that escalated from a failed poisoning attempt to a lethal dose disguised in a celebratory drink. The defense argues there are gaps. No fentanyl found in home. Questions about witnesses. Questions about digital interpretation. Questions about timeline. And that's why this case grips people, because it sits in that uncomfortable space between public image and private truth. A mother of 3, a children's author, a businesswoman, a wife, and a man who told his family he feared for his life. When Eric drank that Moscow Mule, did he know? Did he feel something was wrong? Did he remember Valentine's Day? Did he trust the person handing him that glass? We don't know what his final thoughts were. We do know what the data shows: texts recovered, searches logged, financial documents analyzed, deleted messages mapped, life insurance applications filed, trusts changed, pills allegedly purchased. Digital footprints are stubborn things. They wait quietly, and when they surface, they tell a story. Not always the whole story, but enough. How the case moves toward trial. A jury will eventually sit in that same courtroom. They will hear about 5 times the lethal dose, about Valentine's Day, about deleted texts, about debts stacking up, about a book written for grieving children, and they will decide whether that laugh in court belonged to an innocent woman overwhelmed by accusation, or someone who truly believed she had erased everything. This case isn't over, and that's what makes it so unsettling. A family shattered, a courtroom divided, and messages that refuse to stay buried. What do you think really happened? Let me know below. If you're into stories that unravel like this, stick around, share it, and subscribe.